Come on up. There we go. Yep. Okay, welcome to the Zones All Access hosted by the Sports Center. Today I have girls CHS soccer coach JDS Estep joining me. But before we start, I need to thank our team of marketing partners and our premier partners, including Stay and Play Doggy Daycare, Whitaker Insurance, J&S Concrete Pumping, Clayton Homes of Middlesboro, Value RX Pharmacy of Tazewell, Hartside Bank, Walker and Walker Construction, Claiborne Health and Wellness, and First Century Bank for providing our communications. All right, let's get started with episode 36. Thanks for coming in,
yes.
Coach.
Thank you. Yes, thanks for having me.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your background.
My background, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I have been with soccer for 5 years.
Let's not talk soccer here. About your background.
Okay.
Where are you from? Where do you go to school at?
Well, I'm very proud of this. I am a Claiborne County Blue Devil. It's hard not to say Bulldogs anymore, but
yes, Blue Devils. Yes,
I grew up in the big city of New Tazewell, and had opportunity to go to Midway Elementary all my time there through 8th grade, and then went to Claiborne County High School, where I took a little bit of time there to play football 1 year, and then I played tennis the whole time I was there, and really just enjoyed that. Absolutely loved my high school time. Then I got Walter State Community College, UT, for my bachelor's degree in agriculture, and worked for UT for 10 years, and then had opportunity to come to Claiborne High School to teach, and now coaching soccer.
Okay, you kind of hinted on it. Sports as a kid, what all did you play?
I played soccer 1 year. We had AYSO in Tazewell at the Optimus Park for 1 year, and I played Little League Baseball as long as I could, and football 1 year in high school, and I realized real quick that that wasn't for me. And then I played tennis all 4 years in high school, and I always love to tell people this. When I was at UT, I played the rec league, flag football, 7-on-7, and our games, because of one of our players, started at 11:45 p.m., like on a Monday night, and so it was exciting. So I've always been around sports. I'm a sports fan, watch sports when they're on, keep up with very few things like I used to. But
do you have a favorite sport?
My favorite sport is football. I prefer it over anything, and watch a lot of football, keep up with it more than anything college-wise for sure.
Okay, what's your favorite athlete and or team?
Well, my favorite athlete of all time will be Peyton Manning, just because I was able to be young when he was playing, and that was my team. And I watched him grow in college and then grow through the NFL. And then he's still very active. And of course, my favorite college team is Tennessee football, Tennessee Volunteers. And I really just, pro wise, I'm a Chicago Bears fan, but Rex and I were talking about this the other day. It's not been really that great to watch, but I got into that with my brother when he.
One more time, say it loud and proud. Favorite college team?
Tennessee Volunteers. I don't know if he heard us.
I don't know. We tried.
Yeah.
All right. Why was Peyton your favorite athlete?
Well, it sealed the deal for me when he chose college and really my team over going to the NFL.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, he did that on a Sunday night, that press conference. And a bunch of us at church, somebody had a little handheld TV that they set on the front porch at church before we walked in to church, and we watched the press conference. And it really just sealed the deal for me on him. And, it was right when I was growing up, getting ready for college myself.
Can you say that sports taught you anything?
They did. I wanted to quit football after the first practice and at 95 degrees and just miserable. But my parents,
Before the heat.
before we even cared about what the temperature was outside, we actually had a 1 hour practice yesterday because of the heat index. But I went home, told my parents about it, and they didn't give me an option. They said, "Well, you committed." My head coach was a good friend. They said, "Give it a year. If you don't like it after a year, then you can give it up." And that's what I did. And then that whole year taught me a lot. Tennis was a little more laid back. Little league baseball's, you sort of relied on your parents. But I was driving. My mom and dad had to pick me up quite a bit. But you get into a mentality of these guys depend on me, even though I didn't play. They depended on me to be there at practice.
Yeah.
They depended on me to help with the equipment, things that a new player did. And it really it taught me a valuable lesson on teamwork and dedication to working with a team to make it successful, no matter your role. So I really appreciated that. I still think about it quite a bit because we have to work with people, we have to talk to people, and do all that.
How did you get into coaching?
Well, I don't mind telling this story, but the reason I'm coaching the high school girls soccer team is they were without a coach. I taught at the school, and my daughter played on the team. So it was a conversation that took a few weeks to develop because I really enjoyed being the support guy. I helped the former coach with the clock and other things.
You like that role?
I like that role, and I like being a parent. And, of course, with other kids playing sports at the same time, I like being able to choose and my wife go this week and so on. But it worked out that I would be in position to take it. And so it made sense at the time. My daughter was going to have to be driven back and forth. I worked at the school, so we chose to do that route, and I accepted it. But really, I wasn't as timid as I thought I might be because I had 5 years previous of AYSO coaching at a smaller level.
Yeah.
But I did coach my son in AYSO and had opportunity to help with baseball as well for him. So,
what did AYSO teach you as a coach?
Well, AYSO in high school, they do not provide you with this is what practice one should look like, this is what practice two should look like.
It's a little more scheduled.
Yes, AYSO, because most of the people were volunteers, provided you with a manual that went down the line. This is what you should do this week, and this is what you should do the next week. And then it taught you the rules and fundamentals, basic rules and fundamentals of soccer, which being from a small town with a background of very little soccer, I did not know everything, and I still learn a lot, but it gave me a very detail-oriented approach to getting out there and coaching the kids.
I kind of quickly apply that to the high school.
Yes,
Yeah,
and a lot of the things that doesn't change. Fundamentals do not change, so that was a good thing. And then at the AYSO Tri-State, which is where my kids participated, they're very helpful as an organization. They did not want to see you fail. They called you, they texted you, they came to your practices and helped guide you. And that was a very good thing to have in my background.
All right. What aspects of coaching do you like?
I like game time situations. One of the greatest things about soccer is you coach them through the year, and when it gets to the game time, you're so far removed from the field of play that unless they're on your side of the field, you can't really communicate with them well. And personally, which I've got a great assistant coach, Courtney Daniels, but we yell at them, we talk to them, but you have to have them prepared for the game time situation. And personally, we see such a great development through the progression of the year watching them play. And you develop a good relationship with these girls, watching them go out there and make decisions. And they typically make the right decisions and work together as a team. That's my favorite part. I also I enjoy the technical parts of it. I may be a little odd on that, like scheduling. It was aggravating this year. I'd never done it. My schedule was in place last year, but
well, the next question is, what's your dislike?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I like the
since we went that way.
I do not like all the confusion about the rules of practice. We sat up there last week for 45 minutes because it kept thundering, kept lightning, and if I'd known that, we would have just said, well, we're not going to try it tonight.
Yeah.
But we had them all out. We ended up getting about 45 minutes of practice in. I'm not as strong, or I don't enjoy making a practice plan. It's not my strongest suit, but at the same time, it has to be done. And I've noticed too that the plan, I always go over on time. I don't ever get everything in, which is probably a good thing. If something's not working, I'm ready for a backup. But I personally do not like those two aspects of it. And we're very blessed with good girls, not a lot of drama at all, really. And parents are good to work with. It's really been a very good situation at our school.
Well, JD, kind of in a nutshell, tell us about your philosophy of soccer.
Get the ball in the net.
That's a great philosophy.
Yes.
Yep. It's a good plan.
Well, I did not realize how the girls want to be competitive, and I, as a coach, want to be competitive, and Coach Courtney does too. We're very competitive, but I realized real quick that one of the most important things that we do at the high school level is we are able to spend time and teach the game. And I used to think, and I guess this was just my mentality growing up because I wasn't around it. Well, what you do, you just go down there and kick the ball in the net. You get points. But it's so much more detail, much more involvement than just that. Even the technicalities like spacing and timing.
Staying on side.
Yes, and what the 285 offside scenarios that they put in the rule book. But we all learned that together, and there were times that I was caught off guard during games with certain things, but my philosophy will always be that if I'm able, I want to teach them something new every chance I get, and even if it's like yesterday where we needed to go light because of the weather and we just go back to basic fundamentals, that's fine. But if we have a good 2-hour practice like we plan for, we want them to go away with something new that they can take home with them and remember hopefully during a game.
Well, kind of explain what happens from the start of practice to the end of a practice. Well, your typical practice.
Yes. I try to talk with them when they start arriving. Sometimes, we've got setup that we need to do, but we talk with them when they start arriving, ask them about their day, let them have opportunity to interact with their peers. And if we have time for all that, I try to walk away from them and let them talk. Then when it starts, we try to be punctual with the timing and start with stretch and warm up and some conditioning. One good thing about soccer is if you're running your practice right, they should receive their conditioning during practice.
Sure, yes.
Which it's not been the easiest practice season we've had. Then we do a fundamental type drill right after stretching and conditioning while they're worn out, so they can stay sharp on their fundamentals.
Yeah.
And then you start introducing technical things, and that could be something as simple as line up for our corner kick. Let's practice our corner kick, to throw-ins. It could go many different ways. There's many options. And then one of the really important parts of soccer practice will always be a scrimmage. And most professionals, because, I seek guidance from the outside. I don't know everything. Most professionals in the sport recommend a 30-minute scrimmage to end your practice, where they will receive the majority of their conditioning for the day. And we've been so scattered, we're not always able to get it. But and depending on numbers, summer typically produces fewer girls to show up to practice and things like that. We can do a half-court, small-sided practice, or you can go the full length if you have everybody there, and really gives them a good workout, helps them to see the field better, makes them ready for what they've got to work on, and they see it themselves. They know.
Yeah. Especially during these hot months, how do you motivate players to practice?
Well, motivation, our first thing that we always say is drink lots of water, get lots of rest. But I have found that if we give them, and we provide shade, if we give them a 4 to 5 minute break every 20 minutes, even though that sounds crazy, they can come out of that 4 or 5 minutes, if they've drank water and stayed in that shade, they can come out of there with a renewed attitude. We've only really had about 2 or 3 practice days where it's been so overwhelmingly hot that they were just by the end of the day killed. But the motivation comes from, hey, we've got a chance. We're not just doing this because Claiborne has a soccer team.
Right.
We're doing this because last year we made it to the districts. We won one in the districts, continued in the district tournament. there's no reason to think that we have little opportunities against the teams we're playing. I give them updates throughout the year. This is who we've got on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We have great opportunities in front of us, and they're talented. I mean, that's another thing, and a lot of it is the fact that they can see that their talent is there, and that helps for motivation too. That they know that there's a possibility to go and advance far.
Okay, this version of the team, how are your upperclassmen looking? And you name names if you want.
Yeah, well, we have two upperclassmen that are returning, and we have two that joined the team for the first time this year. And I'm talking seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. They all are very well, they work well together. You can see that they want to be a motivator. The two that returned this year both have played in the past, so that's not been an issue. They know the game, they know what to expect, and they show up, and they show up every time. So our upperclassmen are the team leaders.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt about that. They put forth the effort to make certain that they're doing their part to keep the girls organized. I feel like behind the scenes they address situations that Coach Courtney and I do not have to, and they motivate each other well.
Any exciting players coming from the freshman and sophomore classes?
Oh yeah. We have some returning players that perform really well. We have a great group of juniors, and our sophomores, both from last year, are good. We only had two freshmen this year, and that was not necessarily by choice. That's just the way that it came. And even though our middle school team produces a lot of players, we actually compete, if you will, and it's a good thing that we have that kind of competition with other sports, especially at the high school level, since sports do run and have the opportunity to run year round. And
they do.
And because of that, and I get it, there are girls that choose one sport just because of the simple fact that it's a lot.
Yeah.
And they have those conversations with us, and that's fine. But our sophomore and juniors will obviously round out the majority of the roster. And they're going to be great. They're all returning, and there's no reason to think that they haven't added a lot of new skill and new excitement.
Okay. What would you say the strength of this year's team is going to be?
We're going to be fast.
Oh, nice.
And last year we were very fast, but this year they've worked on their speed and agility. They've worked on their opportunity to make breakaways, control the ball better. So I truly believe that's going to be our strength. And when I say strength, it may be exciting to watch. Some of the runs that we're going to probably have, I would imagine we'd have, will be very, very fast.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to make sure we keep up with the ball.
Okay, what needs work?
Well, our major thing, and we obviously practice with this every day, would be defense. Our defenders last year, our starting defenders, were all seniors, and they were not only, including our goalkeeper, they were not only our strength on the field, but they also were the vocal piece for the team, and they took their role as seniors well, and they were a solid defensive bunch. It's no surprise to have opportunities where you get the mercy rule on you.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main things that we worked on, and you play teams that you know going in, even though you try to motivate, say we've got a chance, the girls know, we know from tradition and from work that there's going to be teams that's going to just be very difficult to overcome. And they stood in there. They did not let that bother them. They worked hard. They kept us from none of our matches ended early, and I appreciate that
Yeah.
because, but that's one of our biggest fears right now. Not necessarily a tremendous fear, but just how the defense will perform without that vocal piece of those seniors being back there at the goal.
Okay, if a situation occurs where a player needs discipline, uh, I'm sure it depends on what it is, but just basic discipline. How do you treat that?
Well, in the past, in last year and in this year alone, well, this year we've been very fortunate not had to deal with that. But last year we just we would suspend them from either a half of a game or from the entirety of the game, and that's not always pleasant, and it's not always the most opportune time, especially depending on who it is.
Playing,
but we did have to do that, and that's part of it. And you know, it really never gets to the point that I feel like Coach Courtney and we catch things pretty early. We try to mitigate that. You know, I know they need to grow and be adults and deal with a lot of things on their own, but we really look at it as we can't afford to get into a position where any of you all need to be disciplined. And so I feel like we have a good program in place to keep that from happening. But last year, that's what we did. We suspended from games or game time.
Okay. I'll always ask the coaches this question, and I'm going to ask you too. What do you expect of the parents?
That's a good question. Last year, I really had no problem with the way things went, but I expected the parents to support their student athlete. Um, you know, just a few times, not many, we had student athletes come to us and say, well, so and so's parents here every time, and mine's only been to one or two. And, you know, you might have thought I might come at it a different way because parents can be difficult, and I get that. I've always worked with youth in some aspect of my career, either at UT or at the high school, obviously. And sometimes parents are overwhelmingly difficult. We didn't have that last year, but I think that was probably the most, I guess, disappointing thing that I ever heard a girl say was noticing that their parents did not attend like some of the others. So I would expect the parents to support as much as possible. And we try our best to make this about the girls. And I want
as a team.
Yes.
And
I want their parents to be there. But I appreciate one thing that the parents give us, and that is the opportunity to work with them, even though it's outside of school hours, and not be directly involved. And I know that sounds crazy because as a parent, I want to be that parent that does everything for my kids and helps them as much as I can. But I'm very pleased with the way our parents operate and interact. And I will be making a plea for clock keepers and people to take up money at the gate because we don't ask our teachers to do that for soccer.
Let's talk team needs and such as that. What can the community help you with as far as team needs?
Well, we need funding for certain things. You know, a lot of high school teams have just massive amounts of equipment that they bring with them They have.
Oh yeah, they do. I've seen it.
They have.
Yes.
Some of them even pull trailers. I'm not talking about any certain sport. I'm talking about girls soccer. With all that in there, they show up with fancy gear and backpacks, and everybody's cleats match, and their shin guards are probably bought by the school or the team. But we don't have that luxury. We were.
Well, let's stop there. We should. I mean, the team should have the support to get them matching gear and good gear.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's where our community needs to step up, in my opinion, just a little bit more.
Yes. Okay. Well, I agree with that. And but we've been successful to this point to be able to furnish them with what they need. But it would be nice to go above and beyond. We've been very blessed this year with we're getting new goals. So that was a stunner.
That was a big one last year.
It was a big one.
That's a big need last year. Yeah.
Every home match, I was confronted by the officials about our goals. And so I brought that to the school, and our athletic director and principal worked on that immediately. And so we're going to have that. They should be here anytime. And I appreciate that because it was something that if I could have done it, we would have done it before our first home game. But it really would be nice to have a few more luxuries, but we're fine right now. We're doing good.
All right. Talk about your schedule, just an overview of what you think.
Yes. I know it pretty good. We have a jamboree Saturday and jamboree in soccer, which these are some of these things are new to me still. But jamboree in soccer is a 20-minute period, and we'll play 4 different teams. And
is it here?
It's in Millsboro. Millsboro High School. I know that Millsboro High School and Cumberland Gap High School put it on, so we're very thankful for that. And we're going to play at that 3 of our district opponents, which doesn't bother me any. We'll get to see a little bit, maybe. And in our situation, we'll play everybody at the jamboree. Everybody will have opportunity to play no matter what.
And I'm sure they will too.
Yes, and then we're going to have a scrimmage with Morristown West. We couldn't get them on the schedule, and they were a traditional scheduled team, but their schedule didn't work this year. But we agreed to a scrimmage in 2 weeks before the season starts. Season starts right off the bat. We travel to Harlan County, and we're allowed 16 matches. And we have it even this year, 8 at home, 8 away.
Cool.
And our district did not change. I know a lot of sports you probably interviewed have their district, but our districts remain Volunteer, Cherokee, Granger, and Greenville. And so we're going to stick with that, and we will we'll see. And the way that it's set up with our system now, we'll always make the district tournament, so we'll have that opportunity. And I feel very confident about our abilities and our timing. It'd just be if their mind's ready with losing that senior leadership, and if they're ready to perform at the same level they did or better last year, and I believe they can.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to address anything you want to address, say anything you want to say.
Well, thank you. Personally, I want to thank you. I don't know if you get as much recognition as you deserve, really, about what you do for sports here in Claiborne County. It means a lot to me, too. My brother went in sports journalism, worked for the Maryville Times, and he loved it. And I used to think, gosh, he goes to a lot of girls' soccer matches. Why are they playing so many soccer matches? But I realize, because we play 2 a week, and that's sort of how it works to be able to get them in. So I want to thank you for what you do and do this for this community. I want to thank the Sports Center and Rex and what he does for us. he goes above and beyond, in my opinion, for our high school and local community.
He does.
But I want to also thank our girls, and I don't know if any of them will watch this. I hope they do. I told them that this was an opportunity, but they have taught me more about high school living and high school problems and high school relationships and how things work than anything that I could have ever dreamed. I also am the FFA advisor at Claiborne High School, and we have a great group of kids. But that's on the academic side, and it's a very select group. They have to take that class. These girls chose to be a part of this sport. They chose to dedicate hours. We had early morning practices in June. We've got evening practices in the heat in July. And they choose to come out and do that while working, while maybe even participating in other sports, while having family things that they got to attend to, and while church and everything else goes on. They choose to show up and work. And I appreciate that, because it would be disheartening as a coach when you put in the time to not have that kind of response. And we've got a great response.
All right, Coach, thanks for coming in today. Thanks, as always, to our partners, and thanks to you on your screens that watch us on every one of these we do. And just share it if you don't mind. Just share it to family and friends. Let's get the word out a little more about our kids. And until next time, may God bless. Thank you.